Good day, YouTube. JD here, aka Alvin, for your Tuesday sub spot here on the Pagan Perspective. This week's topic is St. Patrick's Day versus All Snakes Day. The question comes from Annie M. Goldsby. Her question is, what is your opinion on St. Patrick's Day, All Snakes Day, or neither? Personally, I don't celebrate it as part of my practice. It's not really something that I've ever really paid much attention to, although I have a small Irish lineage, about 17%. It's just not something that I really embraced. But when I did some research for the presentation today, I found that there's kind of a split in controversy as to the actual origins or the actual idea behind both of these days. St. Patrick was born in the 5th century, from what I understand, and there are several accounts and several reports, all stemming from one letter that says, the way he wrote his life is actually a letter, and it says that he was kidnapped as a child, I think right around his 16th year. And this kind of led that the people that kidnapped him may have been pagans. In some accounts, it says that these people were pirates, but for the most part, the general idea is that these people were pagans. The interesting thing is that in most accounts, the people that kidnapped him basically didn't really change his religion, but it's generally thought that he himself was pagan at the actual time. And the story goes that once he is kidnapped, he's made a slave by the pagans, and he escapes later on through a lot of different things, hearing the voice of the Christian God and so forth, and he gets back home to his parents, and he studies Christianity even more. He begins to convert people there. There's also some more accounts of the story that perhaps his parents were really powerful debt collectors and taxers, and that the pagans may have been fed up with that, and they have actually decided to take revenge on him and kidnapped his son and pillaged their villages. But that's only one or two accounts that I could find on the internet about that. So he gets back home, he converts many people, he comes back to Ireland and begins to convert people there. Now that's where things get very, very interesting, because he returns to Ireland, and he actually reportedly returns to the site of his slavery, his captivity. He goes specifically back to his slave master at the time, and there is actually a Catholic Encyclopedia entry, and I'll try to get that down below inside of the link so you guys can read it. But it basically says something to the effect that St. Patrick found that the site of his captivity, the compound that he was enslaved in, was in flames when he arrived, and he learned that the slave master had thrown himself into his own mansion with everything that he owned and burned it, because he did not want to be vanquished by his former slave. Now, this is really all we have to go with, for all that I can find. I can't validate this entry other than providing a link. But from what I can understand, something happened in Ireland, or it's implied that something happened in Ireland where St. Patrick was that frightening, where his former slave master decided to burn himself and everything he owned before St. Patrick could get there. Now, it is generally thought that history is written by the victors. So in this case, it may be that very situation where St. Patrick and his people won, and they decided to go ahead and rewrite history. It's interesting that the Catholic Encyclopedia has this article, because that's the only shred of evidence that could even lean in that direction. Now, I can't validate the Catholic Encyclopedia. I can just provide the link. You guys can take a look at it and make your own decision. As far as St. Patrick's Day or All Snakes Day, I may loosely celebrate All Snakes Day, because I tend to try to wear red on that day just to kind of remember what happened or what may have happened, the implied idea that some pagans feel that may have happened during that time. But I would rather focus on Ostara, because it's very close in that same time, and to me, as being a Wiccan, it's much more important to me to celebrate that. But for you folks that do celebrate St. Patrick's Day and celebrate being Irish, it is I can understand that. I don't have any problem with it. You know, go ahead and celebrate. For you guys who will be celebrating Ostara, have a happy and successful Ostara. Thanks for listening, and blessed be.